I changed only one thing, the timing. Listen and tell me which one sounds like a real orchestra. Example A. Now example B. Be honest, A or B? Write in the comments. If you hear the difference, good. The problem is that most composers hear it, but they don't know how to fix it. If you have ever thought, why my orchestral libraries always sounds late? Should I use negative delay? Should I move every note by hand? This isn't about milliseconds, it's about understanding how real instruments react. Once you understand that, timing stops being a technical problem and becomes a musical decision. Sample libraries aren't synthesizers, they are recordings of real musicians, and real musicians obey physics. There are two reasons orchestral libraries often feel late. The first is the instrument itself. Imagine a violinist playing lyrical legato. The conductor gives the cue, the arm begins to move, the bow touches the string starts vibrating, only then does the phrase actually speak. That can easily take over 100 milliseconds. Now, add the second delay. Sound doesn't travel instantly. It travels at about 343 meters per second. So, if your main microphones are roughly 10 meters from the back of the orchestra, the sound physically arrives almost 30 milliseconds later. And then you have French horns. Their bells point backward. Part of their sound reflects behind the orchestra before reaching the microphones. Naturally, they feel even slower. So, if everything starts exactly on the grid, the orchestra can actually sound late. Not because your computer is slow, because reality is. Here is the interesting part. Professional musicians already know all of this. A great horn player doesn't wait for the beat before beginning to play. If they did, their sound would arrive late. Instead, they begin the physical movement slightly before the beat. So, the audience hears the sound exactly when the conductor intends. Watch a conductor carefully. The gesture always happens before the sound. The orchestra isn't reaching to the beat. They are preparing for it. That's what a great orchestra feels unified. Not because everyone starts moving together, but because everyone arrives together. Now, think about your dog. Those musicians aren't there. The conductor isn't there. That responsibility belongs to you. This is what I say, you are not programming MIDI, you are conducting invisible musicians. Okay, let's make this practical. Here is exactly the same phrase. Everything is perfectly quantized to the grid. Notice how, depending the instrument, the attack feels slightly behind the beat. So, how do professionals deal with this? There are two common workflows, and in practice, many composers combine both. The first is negative track delay. Open the track inspector and apply negative delay value. Once you understand how your library responds, you assign an appropriate negative value for that track. So, your DAW will automatically trigger that entire track a few milliseconds earlier. The MIDI stays exactly where it is, only the playback changes. The second workflow is to anticipate the notes while you are performing. At first that sounds difficult, but musicians have been doing this for centuries. Think about a pipe organ. Every instrument has its own mechanical response. An experienced organist doesn't think this instrument has 70 milliseconds delay. They simply know the instrument. They hear the pulse and their hands naturally move before. Believe me, after enough practice, it becomes instinct. The same thing can happen with sample libraries. Over time, your hands begin to understand the response of your favorite libraries. And you stop thinking about milliseconds altogether. You simply play the instrument that's in front of you. And if you are not a confident keyboard player, that's fine. You can always adjust the attacks manually afterward, note by ear. It works, it just takes much more time. That's exactly why developing this instinct is worth it. Most professional composers combine both approaches. Negative track delay provides a consistent foundation across a large template. while small performance adjustments and manual editing add expression where the music needs it. Because at the end, you are not trying the MIDI look correct. You are trying to make the music sound convincing. Your ears decide, not the grid. But here is the question that actually matters. Should every orchestra be perfectly aligned? The answer is no, because timing depends on the music you are trying to create. If you are writing thriller music, epic rhythmical music, you will probably want much more tighter alignment. Everything needs to log with percussions, synths, and sound design. Rhythmical precision becomes part of the style. But if you are writing a score, a concert work, music that should feel like a real concert hall, those tiny differences becomes part of the performance. They create tension, breath, weight, humanity. Neither approach is more correct. One prioritizes impact. The other prioritizes realism. Your job isn't to copy someone else's settings. Your job is to decide what kind of orchestra your music needs today. In fact, I want to ask you, which camp are you in? Do you prefer the razor-sharp precision or the organic imperfection? Drop down below, cast your vote, and let's debate. So, the next time your library feels late, don't ask, how much negative delay should I use? Ask yourself something much more important. What will a real musician do? Because convincing orchestral mockups aren't built by perfecting editing MIDI. They are built by making the same musical decisions. That's why your channel, The Virtual Podium, is about. If you are interested in learning how I approach orchestral mockups from a conductor's perspective, I created a free masterclass. Why your string sounds fake and how to fix it. You can watch it for free using the link in the description. Let's step up onto the podium.